Feel free to shout it out. Shortest word in the English dictionary that contains all those letters. Could be a long night if we don't get it. Very good. I've got no prizes. Very good. Feedback. Second question. Sorry, I'm conscious that I'm being videoed, and that's why I'm walking around. Right, we know feedback quality from all the work that John has done is key for learning, for students to improve. So, second question. Hi, come in.
Thank you. Sorry, excuse me, folks.
What percentage of feedback do our students, thank you, receive from their peers? What percentage?
About learning.
Feedback, yeah, in the classroom.
About learning.
About learning.
Explicit or implicit? Or?
Feedback, generally.
5.
5%? 10%? Higher?
I'd say around 60.
60%? Based on Graham Nussell's work, it's 80% of feedback students receive from their peers, from their colleagues. Unfortunately, most of this is deemed not to be useful or not very effective. So, how can we get from this, failure, to this? How can we get from this to this? From this to this? From this to this, and then to this? How can we get a piece of work that looks like that, suddenly transform into a piece of work that looks like that? Or, in fact, something that I did, started off looking like that, eventually looking like that. We hopefully all know about Black and William and their work they did on formative assessment and the fact that students need that ownership of their learning. But how many times have we done this? We have our success criteria on the wall. We hand out post-it notes to all our students. We get them to look at each other's work. We give them lots of time. We give them lots of support. And we say we want you to look at the work and we want to give feedback to each other. Using a success criteria, losing our learning intentions. Have 30 seconds chatting to your neighbours. What type of stuff do students always come up with? 30 seconds. Right, okay, let's see if you're right. Sorry to top of the pops, this is my top 5, and let's see if you were right. Use more colour. Number 4, try to improve the spelling. He's laughing, he's probably done it. 3, make it neater, that's what you said. Make it neater. 2, add more detail. And I'm going to be quite honest here, I sometimes do that when I'm marking. So well done, so really good, add more detail. Smiley face. There you go, back. And lastly, always comes up, do it better. And if the poor lad or lass is there, and they could do it better, they would do. We often have conversations in my classroom where we talk about if a student only knows 50% of what they're looking at, they'll show me or their peers 50%. They're not going to hide anything back. Because we talk about a lot about effort and resilience in our classrooms. So when someone says, you need to do it better, I'm going to say, I know. But I only know 50% of it. That's why you need to help me. And hopefully this is what the seminar's about, or session, I keep on calling it seminar. Public critique. Be kind, be specific, be helpful. The 3 rules of public critique. And it's based on Ron Berger's work. Ron Berger is a phenomenal American teacher. And he came up with these rules: to be kind, to be specific, to be helpful. So when we talk about being kind, it's creating a safe, secure environment where there's no sarcasm. It's very, very supportive. Hey, come in, Harry. Sit in. You can sit in the front and there's some seats at the back. So we talk about being kind. I've taught in a lot of schools, and I've never ever come across an instance where children aren't supportive of each other. But sometimes they're a little bit too supportive. Sometimes they'll say, this work is phenomenal, it's amazing. They perhaps won't use that word phenomenal. They might say, this work is awesome, but this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And you sort of think, well, yeah, there's kind, but we need to make sure that it's accurate, we need to make sure that it's precise. We've also got this idea of being specific. So we're going from the lighthouse approach to the laser approach. We're just looking at a certain thing. So if we're going to critique a piece of work, we need to be kind and we need to be specific. So if there are improvements that are needed, then the student needs to know exactly what improvements need to be made, exactly where the work is falling down. I'm going to read you a quote from Ron Berger's book, and if you haven't got that, please don't nick my copy. I suggest you buy it. It's talking about being specific. If we picture our critique as surgically dissecting a piece of work to improve it, our vocabulary is our kit of surgical tools. If we only have words like it's good or it's bad, we are trying to do surgery with a meat cleaver. If we want to dissect the work carefully and put it back together well, we need a kit of precise tools. So Ron Berger's talking about using the right vocab. Whenever I do public critique in my lessons, we generally have a vocab wall, so any new words that are going to help the students improve will bang up on a wall. So then the kids can use that vocab. And the last one, be helpful. Again, how many of us when we're marking, and we can also critique work when we're marking, will be kind, will be specific, but we miss this last bit out about being helpful. And the beauty of this being helpful from a student to student is the fact that they're going to be really concrete in and understanding their learning as well as supporting the other person. So the 3 rules: be kind, be specific, and be helpful.
Here is his first draft. And here is the second draft. What would you guess that his friend suggested that he do?
Make it bigger.
Make it bigger. Good.
Mm-hmm. Have more black.
Stripes where? On the legs and tail. See how much? It's better to be specific here, because it's not just more stripes. It's, you see how the legs have no stripes here? Stripes on the legs, and pattern on the tail. Try another with you. First draft, second draft. What do you think they suggested? Changing the color from yellow to tan or tawny. Make it bigger. And the tail, which used to look like a 5th leg, it now looks like a tail. I thought these kindergartners are better critique than anyone I've ever known. They give specific critique, and then they listen to each other's critique, and they improve their work. Like, if everyone I worked with did this, it'd be a total success. And so it has become a metaphor to me that the kind of critique we want to offer is put stripes on the legs, or make the tail black. Not use more expression in your writing, because you think, well, how do I do this? The kids who are struggling to write well don't know how to do those general things. You want to give them exact things.
So that's Ron Berger. That's the legend that is Ron Berger, talking about critique. This is an example of a bit of work that I used to launch this public critique with a Year 9 OCR group. Here is a man safely disposing of waste. We had a fascinating lesson on waste and storage of chemicals. The kids loved it, didn't they? And we've done a practical, we watched a few videos, we talked about a discussion, and then we asked the students to fill out their rather boring OCR booklets to get passed. So they filled it out. Then I asked them to give each other feedback, and this was the first one I got. Your work is good, and you have put a lot of effort into. I think that kid was so bored right now. It on the end. Yeah, the grammar's all right, well done. So it's supportive, it's kind. We then talked about public critique. And this was when I was quite mean, because I got a lot of the feedback post-it notes, stuck it under the visualiser, and we talked about, is this helpful? Because if it's not going to help the kid improve the work, then it's that 80% of ground Nutton's talking about. There's no point doing it. It might make the child, it might make the student feel good, it's very supportive, but it's not going to help them improve. So we talked about that. This was the second one. See that little ink spot there? It appears here, so I haven't made it up. This was the second one. You could write more about the containers and write about why you have different containers for different chemicals and why they are made out of metal instead of plastic or card. That was the same kid, 20 minutes later. You could argue that's not very kind because there's no well done on it. But specific, yeah. Helpful, most definitely. So when the kids then redrafted their work, because this is why public critique is essential, that we critique work, and then we have a chance to look at the feedback and act on it, and then redraft, if necessary, redraft again, and get better and better and better. Ron Berger talks about that there's 2 grades in his lessons. There's the top grade and unfinished. So if it's not hitting that top grade could be a C.